Well, I have a bit of a confession to make. So I went and bought the PDP F version here, thinking that it was something different than it actually is. Today's video is brought to you by Hidden Hybrid Holsters, bringing you that sweet handmade Amish leather to fulfill your needs from belts to holsters. Check out hiddenhybridholsters.com or at the link in the description. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So a couple of months back, I ordered the Walther PDP F version because I've been really wanting to get my hands on one for the channel. And at the same time, I ordered the PDP Pro SD version. It just hasn't come in yet, but it's very similar to this one you may have seen on the channel before, where I built with Floyd's parts, the dynamic trigger, and the extensions and stuff from Floyd's before the Pro model was actually out and available. Now, when I ordered the PDP F version, I thought it was going to be a great EDC, but in my mind, I was thinking it was something, and when I got it, it turned out to be something completely different. And we're going to come back to that because it's going to be very important for you to understand if you want the F model. And really quickly, I want to thank all of my Patreon supporters, because with the Patreon funds, I was actually able to purchase the Walther PDP F, so a huge thank you to you guys. And it helps allow me to give you guys the most unfiltered and unbiased reviews I possibly can. Well, let's go ahead and talk quickly about what the Walther PDP F actually is so you really understand. To begin, obviously, it is a 9mm striker-fired polymer pistol. The F model in the PDP series is going to be the slim frame, really targeted for people with smaller hands and maybe shorter fingers. It will have interchangeable back straps on the grip for custom fitting. It will have a very good grip texture, which they call their performance duty texture. And you're going to hear a lot of the performance duty nomenclatures when it comes to the Walther features. It has Walther's performance duty trigger, which is out of the box, probably one of the best triggers available in the striker game right now. And the length of pull on that trigger has been shortened up quite a bit, again, to help people with shorter fingers and smaller hands. You also get an ambi slide stop slide release, a reversible magazine release, and a very nice wide undercut on that trigger guard, which even fits large hands very well. Out front, you'll get a 2-slot accessory rail for all your mini bayonet, light, or laser needs. And when it comes to the slide, you're gonna have that big chunky look the PDP is known for, with the super terrain serrations. It will have white dot sights that are plastic, the rear being adjustable, and it will have the new optic design mounting surface, which has a lot more lug engagement than the original design did. And because I know the question is going to come up, the factory sights are not usable once you mount your optic up. You will need something taller. Walther does make mid-height sights for a co-witness, which I have on my PDP 4-inch, which are solid, and they come in at about 89 bucks. Something different about the newer models, if you don't know, people raise such a stink on the internet about the optics plate lug engagement or lack thereof on the original design. Even after Walther released the engineering prints and people still continue to whine and groan, Walther said, "Here, hold my beer," and pretty much gave you more lug engagement than just about anything they offer. So at this point, I don't think anyone can honestly say there's not enough lug engagement on the optic plate. What that really means for you is there are two different versions of optics mounting plates. One is smooth, the version 1, and the version 2 looks like a little mini maze for all the lug engagement to ensure that optic doesn't move or shift. That's extremely important because Walther is going to give you one free plate, and then if you want to buy another one from Walther or say an aftermarket manufacturer, you have to know whether you have the smooth version 1 or the one from version 2 that has all the lug engagement. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble when you go to mount your optic. The version I purchased is the 3.5-inch, and it's going to be a steel matte finished barrel with polygonal rifling in it. There's a 4-inch version as well if you want that extra 1/2 inch. And when it comes to feeding, you will get two 15-round mags, but we're going to talk about mag compatibility with other models in just a minute. And for my full spec commandos out there, you know I wouldn't forget about you, so here you go. There are a couple of features we need to discuss and take a look at up close when it comes to the Walther PDP F before we get into the range performance section, because they're going to play a big role on not only the performance, but the reliability of it out there on the range. All right, there are a few things we need to discuss when it comes to the Walther PDP F version, dealing with the ergonomics and some changes inside the pistol here. Now, starting off with the ergonomics, it's much less of an aggressive grip angle here. We've got a really wide underbelly on the trigger guard right there, which just helps your hand fit nice and comfortable in that undercut. And then you have that little pinky extension right there, which just drives your fingers up into the trigger guard, which helps you control the recoil impulse far better. Now, up on the back side here, you'll see we have a very wide kind of beaver tail right there. It's not very long, but just based on the design of that grip, you're able to get the web of your hand really far up in there, and there's just a lot of meat back here that's going to help you control the recoil as that slide is reciprocating and going back and forth. Now, the mag compatibility on this one, it will come with the 215 rounders. These are the same mags that are in the compact version. So if you already have a PDP compact, those mags are going to work. As well, if you have a full size, you can use the full size mags in there and they will function. Obviously, they're just going to hang out the bottom like that. But if you want to have some fun on the range with some longer sticks and you got the full size, all of the mags for the PDP compact, full size, and the F version will work in this pistol. One of the other cool things about the PDP series is you're going to get a very nicely polished feed ramp. You can see it shining down in there. That's going to help with your overall reliability and feeding of all ammo types. Now, the trigger, Walther is very well known for their triggers. So you can see that's the take up, very hard wall, and an immediate break, no slop at all. There's your reset, pretty short, very tactile and audible, and that break. And I know you want to see what this is pulling at, so let's go ahead, bring out the trigger gauge here, make sure it is zeroed out, and we will do 3 pulls on this, as long as I do them right, and get ourselves an average. So 3 pounds, 10 ounces, that's a little low. We'll go ahead, take that one, do a couple more, and I'll pull a little higher on the trigger shoe this time. So that one went up to 5.7, but I was way up in the trigger guard. That'll also kind of give you an idea that based on your finger placement on that trigger, how different the weight can be. Because if I go down right about there, it's going to register quite a bit different. It'll go back down to 4. So that's going to give us an average of 4 pounds, 12 ounces on that factory trigger. There's only a few hundred rounds in here, so it's probably only going to get better. All right, I've taken this apart because there is something proprietary to the PDP F that I really wanted to show you, because they've been able to reduce by 20% the amount of force it takes to work or manipulate the slide. So for people with either younger, maybe weaker or smaller hands, it's easier to rack and work this slide. And that was made possible by how they redid the striker assembly. So as you'll see, this is like a dual striker design here. You have this barrel that goes around the whole striker body, goes back and forth, and then it meets this lug edge right here. And then you have another spring in the front where the striker tip is that actually goes through the breech face and ignites that round. So how this works, as your pistol is in battery, that lug will be all the way to the rear. When you pull the trigger, that flies forward, hits that lug right there. This spring and the power of this going forward, the inertia and that weight, overpowers this spring right here, and it allows that to go forward like that, which impacts the primer and detonates that round. So very cool design. It is proprietary to the F, and I just wanted you guys to see that. All right, the range performance on the PDP F version here. So first up, the ergonomics for me are absolutely great. I like the much less aggressive grip angle. It's much more natural for me, and it just seems to work. The recoil here is easily controlled, even being a 3.5-inch barrel. And that has to do with some of the ergonomics they've designed into the pistol, which we're going to talk about here in a second. The trigger, hands down, is one of the best in the striker game right out of the box. The controls are extremely easy to use and very naturally placed from the slide stop slide release to the magazine release. There's just something about the design of the red dot ergonomics, as they say, combined with that pinky ledge on the bottom of the grip, the way the grip kind of swells, the integrated back straps. There just seems to be something about it that not only fits well, helps you control the recoil, but then helps you return it to zero extremely quickly, even though this is a higher bore access pistol. It ate every type of ammo I ran, from self-defense to basic ball ammo, which is pretty much what I expected, having several thousand rounds through my PDP full size. All the ammo was factory loaded from either cellular bellet, Federal, DRZ, Spear, and I think I ran some flat-nosed, frangible stuff that I had laying around mixed in there as well. I paired this one up with one of my favorite optics from Holosun, the 407C in green, and the package just works for me in every way, from the feel, the aim, to the trigger pull. Remember up front when I said there was a difference between what I thought the Walther PDP F was and what it actually is? And I think this is going to be very common because almost everybody I spoke to had the same impression about the Walther PDP F version, and that is, we all thought it was going to be a slimmed down, trimmed down, full-size PDF. So much like the P320 to the P365, or the like Glock 19 to the Glock 43X, that was what I had pictured in my mind. And it's my fault, by not looking at the specs that are readily available on Walther's website, that turned out to be not the case. Although the grip is quite a bit slimmer than the full-size PDP version, the slide dimensionally is almost exactly the same. The only difference being this is a 3.5-inch barrel, but you can get the 4-inch as well. So my thoughts when I saw the pictures of it online was it was just going to be a shrunken down PDP. And when I got it, I saw the slide. It actually uses the same optics plate that the full size and the compact version do. The only real difference here is going to be some internal changes and the fact that the grip is quite a bit more slim. So I want you to be aware of that, because it might not be the smallest EDP pistol that you can find out there. Now, I don't regret buying the PDP-F at all. It just threw me for a loop when I saw it like that. So like I said, it's not going to be like the 320 and the 365. It's going to be very similar, just with a thinner grip. Now let's talk cash money American price, what the Walther PDP-F is going to cost us. Obviously, one optic plate, no optic, 2 magazines, the case, and the basic stuff you get with every pistol these days. It's coming in at $650, which is what I found it for, and quite honestly, I just kind of think that's where it fits. My final thoughts about the PDP-F version here: I dig it. Even though it's a little bit different than I expected up front, it's the third one I've bought, and I'm a little biased. I really do like the PDP series, and the F is just kind of continuing that for me. Now, it's the third one I've bought between my standard 4-inch, my PDP Pro SD, this just hasn't come in yet. But my favorite things about it, besides the trigger, because like I said, probably the best in the striker game, the ergonomics of this thing, to include that little pinky ledge that just drives your hand up into that grip so you can control the recoil. It's just good. I can't really find a fault with the PDP because I shoot it very well. It feels good, and I just like it. I know it's a little weird looking with that big chunky slide going on. And if I could fault it for like maybe 1 or 2 things, was 3 magazines is the magic number. And I would love to see right up here in this area, put the grip texture right here. That way, you've not only got a really good reference point, we've got a point to really just lock in a little bit more recoil control. Although for a higher bore access pistol, I guess you could say, the thing really does return to zero very quickly, and it's super easy to control as long as you've got a good grip. Well, that about covers the initial video for the Walther PDP F. It will definitely get a 1,000-round review and probably much more, and some comparisons with other things in the market. I'm curious to know your thoughts. Are you digging the PDP line at all, or have you had a chance to run one? Because just about everybody I've talked to, if they've given it a chance, they walked away and really enjoyed it, and many of them have actually bought them. Make sure you get subbed up and leave me your thoughts in the comments down below. Hit that little thumbs up button if you would. Get out on the range, have some fun. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you all on the next one.